Have you ever seen an entire team nearly wiped out by one HR decision? I work at a Fortune 50 company, and like everywhere else, upper management loves to come up with one-size-fits-none performance metrics. Normally, those of us on the ground just groan and adapt, but this time my manager turned the whole system on its head and saved our jobs in the process. For years, the rule was simple. If you hit less than 70% of your quota in a quota-eligible role, you risked being put on a performance review plan. And a PRP is basically the kiss of death. Fail it, and you're fired. Pass it, and you're still first on the next layoff list. It's a slow-motion termination. Usually, they'd replace you with some new college grad at the bottom of the pay bands. Cheap labor, less experience. But our team, we were all senior people, top 2 skill grades. We were the folks who dealt with C-suite executives at other Fortune 500 companies. We weren't the kind of people you could swap out with interns and hope the business wouldn't notice. So 2 months ago, my boss gets pulled into a big 2-day seminar with the general manager of sales for the Americas, plus senior HR managers. Day 1 was the usual corporate pep talk. Our division was the tip of the spear, the front line for expanding sales in the partner program. The company wanted to grow partner revenue from 60% to 85% and expected 75% of new growth to come from our channel. In other words, the future of the company was riding on our division. Then came day 2. That's when they unveiled the new metrics. Instead of 70%, it was now 80% quota attainment required. And here's the kicker. They were backdating it 2 years. My boss immediately went into just asking questions mode. So let me understand. If someone hit 100% last year, but only 79% the year before, they go on a PRP? HR shuffled around uncomfortably, but the GM cut in. That's correct. Everyone must be a top performer. No exceptions. That's when my manager calmly gathered his things. The GM asked him what was so urgent. He looked him straight in the eye and said, well, based on these metrics and your no exceptions rule, I need to prepare PRPS for my entire team. Every one of them qualifies. And since they'll all fail or be laid off, I also need to open headcounts for their replacements. No exceptions, right? The room froze. Other managers quickly did the math. Hands went up across the room. Yeah, same for me. We'll need to start PRPS and replacement hiring too. A quick count showed that 80% of the entire division would be forced onto PRPS. 70% of staff fired. Another 10% laid off, leaving barely 20% of the team standing. And that was the team the company had just called the tip of the spear. My boss didn't stop there. He pointed out that retention and reduced turnover were part of his own objectives, which meant he himself would fail his goals, as would his boss and her boss all the way up the chain. By their own logic, no one was safe. Suddenly, the GM wasn't so confident. The meeting wrapped up quickly after that, with a vague promise that the policy wouldn't go into effect right away. Over the next 2 months, there were more meetings, endless questions, HR pulling numbers, legal getting involved, and very concerned. Legal, especially, hated the idea of backdating performance requirements, and they went ballistic when they realized there were no exceptions for federally protected leave like family or medical disability. Finally, this past Monday, they revealed the revised plan. Now there was a formal list of exceptions, 10 or 12 categories in total. Things like taking family leave, medical leave, changing job titles, being moved to different departments, or working under new quota metrics with no historical baseline. An exception would reset the clock until the next calendar year. And wouldn't you know it, every single person in our division suddenly qualified for at least one exception. Imagine that. Epilogue. Turns out HR had never analyzed the impact on our division. Their global numbers suggested only 11% of quota-carrying employees would end up on PRPs. They hadn't realized that in our group, it would have been closer to 80%. Legal forced the carve-outs to prevent lawsuits, and the entire plan was gutted. So yeah, sometimes the only way to fight bad policy is to comply with it maliciously. And my boss, he saved all of us by taking the rules literally and showing management exactly how stupid they were.